Hello creatives! Today I'm going to be designing a logo from scratch, and I'm going to walk you through the whole process from the idea to the final presentation to the client. It's a project that's actually based on a real one, but for the purpose of confidentiality, I'm doing it under a different name than their real one. So I'm excited for you to join me. Are you ready to get going? Great, let's get started. The first step of any creation of a brand is researching the target audience. What is the purpose of this product or the brand? Who is it for, and who is going to buy the product from this client? I've already done the research into this target audience, and this brand is an organic pet brand that's looking to get more sales on Amazon, and they know they need a refresh on their current look in order to connect with the customers that they want to buy from them. The brand is owned by more of an elderly couple, and they need my fresh eyes to add some variation to it. Their ideal buyers are primarily women, and I researched the statistics of who owns pets these days. The majority are actually Gen Z and millennials that purchase. One of the main challenges when designing a brand in the e-commerce niche is how to make them different, yet at the same time attractive enough to their ideal buyers. So I like to experiment to move away from just the standard look and do something that will push my clients out of their comfort zone, so that they actually do stand out on that e-commerce digital shelf, while still keeping it applicable to their industry, and that's the main problem I see that we face as designers. Otherwise, brands just look the same all over the place, and we don't want that. Now, when I was researching the type of colors that best attract this target audience, and after doing research online, pulling a bunch of inspiration, I put together this mood board here to show the font styles, the overall look, the colors of the muted green and muted pinks, which will do very well to stand out from the other more corporate or medical looking pet brands on the Amazon shelf. So now that we understand who the target buyers for this brand are, so that we create the brand to attract them and what the overall look is gonna be, I'm gonna jump into sketching out the logo. I never go straight to the computer because it's kind of like building a house without having the architectural plans. After you put in all the time and resources putting up the walls and windows and roof and such, you aren't going to want to change anything in the building design, even if it would look better a different way. These kinds of things need to be ironed out in the stage of pen to paper, or in other words, the blueprint. Now, something super important to be thinking with in a logo is how does it look in silhouette? What are the simplified shapes? How can you make sure it can look good at a big and small scale? Logos don't need to be literal, they need to be memorable, easy to see, and fit the style to attract the right audience. So I've already done the sketching for the purpose of this video, so now I'm importing my sketches, the ones I like the most, into Illustrator. And now I'm gonna go choose some fonts that would look good for the purpose of this logo. So based on the sketches I did, I'm looking for a specific vibe that's kind of like playful, but a little bit modern at the same time. I don't want anything that's too rigid because this is about pets and it's more of a fun brand. So that's something that I want to take into account when I'm looking for fonts. And what I'm doing here is I'm scrolling through Creative Market. That's my favorite place for new font ideas. And I'm just they have this cool feature where you can just drag the PNG onto your desktop. And I have this other font also that I really liked called Creolia, which I actually purchased from Creative Market earlier. And so that's one of the fonts that I'm going to be testing for this specific project as well. So now after I have chosen a bunch of fonts, I'm going to import them into Illustrator. And because they're PNGs right now, I want to make them vector so that I can really play with them in the most best way possible before I purchase and decide on one. So I just turned them all to vector, and now I'm going to be putting them into that overall document where my sketches are, so I can be playing around with different logo ideas here. So for the purpose of this logo, I'm gonna have it more of a playful, illustrative look. So I am tracing over my sketches and just perfecting these lines, making it look good. This is dog ears and a big dog nose, and obviously this is silhouette, so it's suggestive of the dog. I'm not gonna do a full dog illustration, and I just like that kind of concept. So now I'm going to take this icon, this logo mark that I created of the dog, and I'm gonna combine it and do a combo logo, which is gonna be not just the icon itself and not just the font itself, but I'm gonna be putting them together. And I like this pair up. I think that the font complements the dog, and they kind of have this similar style to them. So I like that one for this specific font. Now I'm going to be playing around with that Crayola font, but I really love working in InDesign for this purpose. So I'm going to go over to my InDesign document. I feel more comfortable playing with the typography in InDesign itself. So I'm just playing with some different concepts here and seeing what I can put together. I like it where the pet end is right underneath furry, and then I just extended the Y a little bit just to have some balance. Now I'm gonna do another logo symbol here. So I'm just gonna be sketching over this other kind of silhouette of a dog. I really like this concept where it's very suggestive of what a dog is, but it's not very illustrative exactly. So I'm gonna use that and I'm gonna pair it with this other font, which I feel is very kind of boxy, but has this funness to it at the same time. And I think that matches really well that specific silhouette. So now I'm going to use this Crayola font and I'm going to use it as a base for what I'm going to be creating, kind of like this paw looking thing coming off of the F. And for that, I'm just using so that it has some sort of base in the font itself. That's why I traced the end of the R. And something that's really important when you're working with logos is I always start in black and white, and I like to look at it on a bigger scale and then a small and then a more up close, because it has to look good from far away. It has to have balance. The silhouette needs to be there. And when you get into colors at the early stages, I feel that it takes away from what you're really supposed to be focusing on, which is that silhouette logo in its pure form. Now I'm trying just another little playful bone here on top of this furry pet font, which I actually really like. And then I had done some sketches of a dog and a cat because I want to use this in the packaging itself. And something I love to do when I'm presenting logos is have them in a specific mock-up that will be applicable to whatever the client will be using it on. So I have decided I wanted to have a dog on my packaging for the sample I'm going to be providing. So I'm doing this silhouette illustration here. I'm going to also do the same thing for the cat. And I want to keep it so that basically they're going to have a product for dogs and a product for cats. And I want to show the difference and how it would look on an actual label. Now I am importing the logos into my InDesign document, which is all about the presentation for the client. And I like to show the logo on black and white. I like to also show it on different color backgrounds according to the brand and the mood board that we had created. So now I like to play with different logos and see how they look using the colors at this stage, using the inspiration from the mood board and the color palette that I had already created. And this is gonna give me a guide. Sometimes I'll submit 3 logos to the client. Other times I'll be certain that there's a specific logo that makes the most sense and I'll just present that one. Now the next stage is laying out the mock-up. So how is this logo going to look in a setting that the client will use it in? And for this specific purpose, I'm doing it on a product label. Now, when I do product package design, I first like to do it over a mock-up because in that way you can see, oh, this is how it's gonna look when it plays out. This is what it's gonna actually be on a jar, which is the label it's going to be finalized. And after you have gotten that approved, you really like the look of that and the client is on board with it, then you'll go into actually creating the files that are going to be going to the printer. So that's a whole other story, a whole other video, which you can watch at this link above about package design. But right now I just am doing the mock-up so you can see what the logo is going to look like in the setting with the colors and everything. And you can see here what I'm doing is I'm doing a little illustration of a pattern that I'm going to create for the packaging. And I'm going to be duplicating this little paw prints here over and over again, which is going to act as the background on my label. And I'm designing straight into this Photoshop mockup file, and I'm testing out the different logos and seeing what looks best. Now I want to perfect this specific logo a little bit more, so I'm just playing with it, seeing what it looks like here. I don't really like that first logo light on a dark background, so I wanted to just try another one and see if I like that one better. And this brand does have organic products, so I wanted to also play with this another element called the Organics, little font there, and have that just playing with it, seeing if it helps balance out the logo a bit more. So I'm still not 100% sold, so what I'm gonna do is actually put the pet on the same line as furry and see if that looks better in this specific logo. And I think that that actually helps balance it out better. I like it more horizontal than I do stacked. So I'm adjusting that on the package mock-up itself, seeing how it looks with this background, and I'm liking it so far. So now I'm creating other elements to balance the top, thinking all the time about how it's gonna look on that Amazon digital shelf so you can see the actual mock-up, and then I'm just playing with different concepts, different sizes, and adjusting accordingly. I'm adding the name of the product, which is Pet Skincare with Honey, and I'm gonna put that there and see how it looks. Now remember our little doggy. So for this specific product, the pink one, I want it to be the doggy one. So I put that there in that little circle that symbolizes this is for dogs. And now I'm just adjusting some things on the cat, making the mock-up look even better. When I'm presenting the mock-up, I also like to have some pattern behind it, just really give the sense of this is your brand. Because it gets the client excited about the brand and the product and the logo and everything. So now they also have products for cats, and I want to make sure that I show them how they can distinguish with a different color, which is going to be pulling from our color palette using that more minty green. So I've duplicated that other mock-up, and now I'm just applying the new colors to this for the cat label. And remember our little cat illustration, so I've imported that in here. And I'm just checking it all out, making sure it looks good. And now the next thing I want to do is show what a sample image would look like in their Amazon product listing. So I'm going to be using one of a dog and one of a cat, and I'm going to show just how they would use the fonts, what it would look like in that specific setting. So first I'm going to do a cat one. Okay, so this is be like an ad or an infographic that could be in an Amazon listing. So it makes them really see the full brand all the way through, not just with the product packaging, not just with the logo, but with an actual image. So now here is Furry Pet presented to you as my logo design process from start to finish. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and do give this video a nice thumbs up if you liked it. And if this was your first time in this channel, please do consider subscribing. I post every week to help you out to become a better designer and establish a truly successful freelance design business. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.